Can, can I just pause you there? Because I've just thought of slightly, sorry, forgive me for this. Occasionally on social media, on X/Twitter, whatever, on the YouTube channel, I get comments from people, not Muslims. Oh, Paul, you're Muslim. Why don't you go and live in Afghanistan? Okay. Why do you emigrate to Afghanistan if you loved Islam so much? This is I always get this. And now I'm going to answer, if I do bother to answer, which is probably no, won't in most cases. But you see, if what you're saying is true, and it makes perfect sense, then the understanding of Sharia in Afghanistan is a particularly Pashtun interpretation based on their culture, on their particular customs and tradition, the urf, as you put it. Now, I'm not from that part of the world, obviously. And so there will be no reason why I, even if I was Turkish or even from Pakistan or wherever, there's no reason why I, as a Muslim, would automatically wish to embrace that particular ultra-conservative understanding of Sharia, which is based on local customs tradition. It's simply not required. Since when has Pashtun custom been the universal Islamic model? I mean, and they are not even claiming it is. They're saying
exactly.
This is for us. This is for us.
Yes.
You in Turkey, if you had the Islamic State tomorrow in Sharia in Istanbul, and it wouldn't be the same. And they
they kept saying that to me, and I was quite surprised. And I think they were trying to make a point here, is that whilst we are pan-Islamic in our aspirations and hopes, we are not pan-Islamic in the sense that we see this as a rolling out project for the entire Muslim world from Morocco to Indonesia. Right? We believe, and this was always the case throughout Islamic civilization, Paul. Do you think the capitals like Damascus and Baghdad and Istanbul were similar to the remote tribal areas of Yemen and Somalia? Of course not. And so throughout Islamic civilization, whatever the Islamic laws and interpretations and systems would have had to factor in the culture and the custom and norms of those respective geographies, right? So they have obviously adopted this. Now, their critics will say, no, this is not Islam. This is how you guys, you Pashtun Taliban guys, have interpreted or distorted Islam to now present it as Islam.
But that's the question. Is this even Islamic then? Is this in accord with normative Sunni Islam? I know there are 4 schools. You mentioned the Hanafi school.
Yeah.
Is this consistent with Islam? I know this is a question for scholars, and I'm not a scholar, but this is a question that's going to be asked, because they can talk about customs and local traditions as much as they like, but if it is the predominant influence in a way that negates or in any way sort of distorts or twists normative Islamic practice, then that's not an answer that's going to wash with most people. They're going to say we need to be more Islamic, not less Islamic.
So look, let's talk about some of the edicts, some of the laws that came out. One of them was that women are now obliged to cover their face.
Yeah.
I wear the burqa or the niqab. They cannot speak out loud or sing or recite poetry in public. And of course, they reaffirmed that state schools remain closed up to class 6, which is 12 years old. So up to 12 years old, year 6. There will be girls' education from that point on.
There is just an important point here, because people often know there is girls' education allowed practicing in Afghanistan, but it's cut short at a very early age. And after that, so women can't go to university. Basically, they can't have higher education at all. Just out of interest, sorry.
It's important. No. But note down what you were going to ask me. But this is an important point. So basically, state school is available up to year 6, which is up to the age of 11 or 12. Madrasas are open for girls up to the age of 16. If you go to the madrasa, you can continue schooling and education up to the age of 16, but it has to be done within the infrastructure of the madrasa system, which means that there is a more significant and disproportionate focus on the religious subjects, but there is also access to basic secular subjects as well. Now, many don't know this. Of course, Western media won't report this. But if you, as a young girl, want to have any exposure to secular subjects, if you're younger in Afghanistan, you want exposure and access to secular subjects beyond class 6 or the age of 12, you would have to either sign up to a madrasa or already be within the madrasa system. There are females recruitment. Limited recruitment must be added there, but there is female recruitment for police, airport security, nurses and midwifery, medicine, and other subject areas, but very limited employment. Not that is encouraged. I think this is one of the things which I observed. They don't want to encourage women into education or the workplace. I just have to be brutally honest. They don't see the main objective priority from the perspective of their faith and their culture and their tradition, that women need to pursue the same academic and occupational career objectives as the men. They believe that starting this, encouraging this, normalizing this is going to lead us to a society which we don't want to go. Just forget about, this is what they kept saying, forget about looking at the West, because we no longer say look at the West. Look at our own Muslim majority countries. If you really want to follow the Western model in terms of encouraging equal access and priorities for man and woman and not have defined roles and priorities, we are against that.
Now, this women, they see that women's primary role in life vocation is as mothers, presumably, of children, bringing up children, and wives. This is their primary role, and men's primary role is as providers, as workers, protectors of their family, and that is a very traditional morality. It's found in Christianity and Orthodox Judaism, as well as in Islam as well, I suppose. So how would one respond to, well, this is a different subject, but so you're saying this is why after age 11 or 12, women or girls are not allowed to study, not allowed to go to university. You say that you have certain professions, say medicine, open, but presumably not as doctors, because they couldn't train as doctors. They can't be teachers because they can't train as teachers. So it will be a very limited.
They can be sent abroad to the Gulf or Qatar or somewhere to undergo those studies and come back trained. There are institutions that do provide training in a very limited capacity. Because again, the thinking of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, and brothers and sisters, please just be patient if you're thinking that I am either kind of shilling for them or saying that what they're doing is entirely correct. I am merely the messenger. I am merely relaying back to everyone on Blogging Theology my observation and conversation that I had with senior Taliban officials, right, on and off the camera, as much as I have that I can disclose to you guys. If a country needs 5,000 nurses, does that justify a societal push that there is a perpetual need for female nurses? Is there a need to now tell women folk and girls that you now must pursue a career in nursing or engineering or teaching or design and textiles, whatever subject it is? Just because there is a need within a country doesn't necessarily mean that that given society now has to push the idea that there is a perpetual need to pursue these careers. That's one of their arguments. Now, we're not denying that there isn't a need for women in these spaces and these sectors and these industries. We're hearing that does that need justify a national encouragement of equal opportunities in every given sector and industry? That's what they're saying. Now, with regards to the girls' education, many Muslims would be uncomfortable with this. Forget about Western Muslims. Many of us would struggle with this too. Even, many of us are parents and grandparents. We have children going to school. We go to not just schools, they go to mixed state schools, right? So it'd be hard for us to fathom, especially if we've benefited in the privileged life of the West, where we've pursued careers, a socioeconomic, prosperity by pursuing careers academically, whatever your reasons are for getting into the workplace and getting into education. This would be quite even like surprising for some Muslim majority countries. Mufti Taqi Usmani, one of the most senior scholars in Pakistan, wrote a letter to the Taliban, I believe it was a year or 2 years ago, basically encouraging them to come to a resolution on this matter, because it would be used as a yardstick to discredit them. It'll be used as a yardstick for NGOs and soft power lobbying against the newly formed Islamic Emirate. So he actually
very true, and it is being used against them still.